Ladies and gentlemen, I probably did not coin this phrase. However, there is a Trump curse. And before we get to Brian Stelter and his career being pretty much over from in the vantage point that if, heaven forbid, he wasn't on CNN, and let's say Mr. Stelter had to start a YouTube channel, how many people would want to subscribe to his channel? He'd probably get tens of thousands, okay, initially because he has the name recognition. But starting a YouTube channel, for example, is very difficult. And especially when you're not part of a $20 million venture capital funded monstrosity, for example, that is, by the way, facing a discrimination case. But if you just start your YouTube channel on your own, it's because you've written a great deal. You've been, in my case, published in the Huffington Post, the Hill Salon, the Jerusalem Post, other publications, and you're able to go ahead and then utilize something unique about your vantage point or something special or interesting that you did to help build your following and build viewership. So I don't have the luxury of cable news. I have to build my viewership through these uploads and live streams. And by the way, I'll have a live stream tonight at around 9 p.m. Pacific on this channel. So be here. 9 p.m. Pacific on this channel. My live streams are fantastic. And they're awesome. But hit subscribe to this channel right now. There is a Trump curse. And it's hit Brian Stelter at CNN. And you have to ask yourself, if he wasn't on CNN, what would happen in terms of his career? Well, after Michael Wolff's interview, so hit subscribe to this channel right now, on Brian Stelter's show, Michael Wolff inadvertently helped Trump derail the, I guess, let's just say the curse hit Stelter in the same manner that it did. I'll read you the number of people. This is a quick list compiled. Michael Avenatti, well, we know what's taking place there. Kathy Griffin, Eric Schneiderman, the former Attorney General of New York. Jussie Smollett, we know that. Andrew Cuomo, we know his political career he's not going anywhere past New York governor. New York has had the worst outcomes. God bless the people of New York and the people of New Jersey. But Phil Murphy and Andrew Cuomo are the absolute worst governors. Lincoln Project founder Andrew McCabe kicked out of the bureau. Peter Strzok kicked out of the bureau. Kevin Kleinsmith indicted. Christopher Steele, he had to lay low for a long time because his dossier, that was complete absurd, false, distorted propaganda. That didn't work out well for him. Michael Cohen sold his soul prior to that. He had, you know what's taking place with Michael Cohen. Liz Cheney, her political career within the Republican Party is pretty much done. CNN let go of 3 journalists several years back because of a story that wasn't true about Trump. So really quickly, I mean, before we get to Brian Stelter, you look at what I view to be the Trump curse. Okay, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Tell your friends about it. We're almost at 183,000 subs. The article will be below in Yahoo. Michael Wolff to Brian Stelter. You are one of the reasons people can't stand the media. Michael Wolff, who, by the way, inadvertently does the same thing as Brian Stelter, but in a different way, with his books. So his books are, oh my God, we have all... I mean, I'm actually reading, or I purchased, and I'm reading a little bit of another book. Frankly, we did... this is a book by, reading it right now, Michael Bender. All of these books are tell-all, basically they're gossip and hearsay. Basically, they're all just conjecture and innuendo and gossip and hearsay and grandiose allegations that aren't backed up by anything other than, well, we have a source and this is what they tell us. Quotes that aren't A great many of the quotes, I should say, aren't backed up by any recording. And so Michael Wolff does pretty much the same thing as Brian Stelter, but he completely obliterated Stelter on CNN. The article will be below. You're one of the reasons people can't stand the media. Michael Wolff told Brian Stelter he's part of why many people in the United States don't trust media. Now, people don't trust media because oftentimes, almost actually daily, the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, Vanity Fair, Esquire, BuzzFeed, Mother Jones, The Nation, The Daily Beast, The Atlantic, New York Magazine, Rolling Stone. We can look at Los Angeles Times. You can look at, I said New York Times, Washington Post. You can look at a template. NPR now. NPR is an example also. There's a template. It's whatever is beneficial for one political party. So whatever CNN is saying about Trump, everyone, including NPR, will be saying the same thing, even if it's not true. So the fake and false and phony news that you've heard, most of it is from legitimate, reputable sources. Trump never worked with Russia. He was never working or an operative of the Kremlin. That was never even, should never even have been a concern. Okay? That was fomented by, I mentioned Christopher Steele, a dossier purchased by Clinton and the DNC. Then you had quotes attributed to Trump, quotes that are attributed to Trump that he never said. He never called the pandemic a hoax. It never happened, literally never happened. He was talking about the media reaction. He never said that in the 1930s and 1940s Germans on that fateful day were fine people. That never happened either. You can look at the transcript. He actually condemned them 3 separate times on the C-SPAN transcript. The hysteria, and he used the word sanctimonious, but the sanctimonious, hysterical, and manic or maniacal coverage of Trump is distorted, one-sided, and all-encompassing, or it is the viewpoint of almost every political cable news station, even Fox News at times. So you don't have, you have people at Fox News who don't like Trump. You don't have anyone on MSNBC and CNN that dislikes Biden. The reason people don't trust media, and the trust for media is an all-time low in the United States of America, is that views are being suppressed, actively suppressed, under the notion that if you disagree with the prevailing narrative, that the end of the world will take place, or people will be harmed. That's absurd. There are many examples where the prevailing narrative did no good for a great many people. And debate, discourse, discussion is being stifled because you have people who truly believe that Trump is a monster. He's a menace to society and to the world. This is not true. And it's fostered by people like Brian Stelter. And it's interesting because Michael Wolff pretty much does the same thing, but in a different way through his books. But he's not on the airwaves, or he's not on cable every single day like Stelter is. So he probably takes exception, or he probably looks and says, well, why don't people like media? Must be because of Brian Stelter on CNN. Well, Wolff is actually the same type of media personality. The thing is that Donald Trump, whether you like him or dislike him, has completely turned, because of the contempt, because of the inability to say, well, at least we had record low unemployment during President Trump's tenure. At least he brought home Americans in a negotiated deal that Biden is being forced to accept. At least he allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. The inability for people to look at Trump from a rational perspective is based on the hysterical and apoplectic and just fanatical coverage of people like Mr. Stelter at CNN in general. That's why the average American does not trust media. Because they know that journalists like Stelter and like Wolff and others have a political agenda. Truth is not the primary concern. And that's like the Trump curse just gobbles up people who don't have truth and reason and logic as their primary concern. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. It's okay to dislike Trump. It's not okay to claim that he's a menace to society or that he worked with Russia or all of the nonsense you're hearing to this day. Give me your thoughts. And by the way, if they have evidence that he compelled or incited or did this or that, then why don't they indict him? That's also a big issue. They don't have the evidence in a court of law to prove any of their absurd allegations. Be here, by the way, at 9 p.m. Pacific tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.